The Di Perenne siblings stand on Rosaline's Porte di Verdani. Camelia stands on the rickety dock, looking out into the distance with a wistful expression. She's wearing the ribbon like a bandana to fully cover her hair and ears. Nearby, Lucian is excitedly making sure he has all the things he needs for the journey. While the situation is grim, Lucian is smiling wildly. On his back is Kalan, who is strapped in via ropes. So, I know Gregorio's boat is pre-stocked with supplies and food, but I packed some extra things, just in case, you know. I'm glad that you're remembering to do that, at least. Well, Michaela always told me to be prepared for the worst, so... Camelia looks down solemnly at the mention of Michaela. I'm glad I didn't forget. She isn't here to remind me, after all. Well, she couldn't be here, even if I wanted her to be. Lucian's awkward smile lowers as he looks at her with mild discomfort. Not that I'm questioning your methods or anything. Okay, I am very much questioning them. Well, why didn't you just tell her to stay? Well, you know Mika. Once she gets an idea, she needs to get it done. I like that about her, but... I think it would be better if she just sat out on this one. Lucian is about to respond, but the two hear a noise behind them as a heavy-set man with frizzy black hair, a thick mustache, and a proper sailor's outfit walks up. Hey, Uncle Gregorio! How have you been? I've been excellent since your mother lent me her ship. His smile slowly begins to fall as he notices Camelia and Lucian's expressions. Has the Signora's condition worsened? Yes. We have a solution, though. He struggles to figure out how to ask for the boat. Camelia looks at him, then Gregorio. If it's not too much trouble for you, we may need the Di Perenne boat back. There's no trouble at all. It's the least I could do for you kids. Oh. What is it? You're not thinking of going through the Triadian Sea with that ship, are you? The two siblings are quiet, looking down at their shoes. He looks at them with a frown, sitting down on a piece of cargo on the side of the dock. He pinches his nose. Ah, my children. That is very dangerous. Do you not see that? Yes, but it's either this or do nothing while Mom... And I know you miss her. As if realizing what she was about to say, Gregorio looks down sadly. I promise we'll be safe. You won't lose us. After a moment of silence, Gregorio looks up, giving the two a grin. Then I have to trust that. He stands up, walking over and bringing the two of them in a big, strong hug. Your mother would have done the same thing too. The siblings hug him back before he pulls away, wiping a tear from his eye. Camelia smiles sweetly, beginning to grab money from her pack, but Gregorio lifts a hand. I don't need any payment. Think of this as my way of paying back all the money I made using that boat. But if you really insist on it, I wouldn't mind having a Camelia original hung up on my wall. He gives Camelia a wink before letting out a chuckle at her bashful face. He then points at Lucian, who jumps. You better brave the storm with your sister, Bambino. Yeah, I will. With a friendly wave, their uncle leaves. Lucian rubs his arm before hurrying behind his sister as she walks to the boat. The minute Lucian gets on the boat, he begins to shake with excitement. While his ears were previously pointed down, now they're fully pointed up, looking around the ship with awe. It's hard to believe Mother gave over such a ship. It's beautiful. I mean, she had her hands full with Mika and I, and definitely you. The taller man begins to pout as she grabs his shoulder and shakes it. No need to have a boat when she didn't plan to leave. The boat is older and not of newer steamboat models that are about. However, it's well taken care of. The wooden panels scrub clean and the boat already set up. There are barrels on the side filled with rope, a broom for swabbing, and empty crates that previously had Gregorio's cargo. Lucian still looks around curiously, then notices the steering wheel and jumps up with excitement. You want to sail, don't you? Maybe a little. She motions forward in a go-ahead gesture. With a squeal, he runs around to get the boat ready. She crosses her arms and smiles, leaning against the side of the boat and watching. While getting everything ready, he sets Kalan against the main mast and ties him there.
Kalan can keep watch right here.
Camelia's smile falls, looking at her brother with a lonesome expression. As he sets the doll down, she sighs, looking down, then leans against the railing of the boat. It isn't long before day turns into night. Camelia yawns, then looks toward Lucian, who is still manning the ship. She shakes her head with a smile. Looking out onto the ocean, she admires the moon reflected in its sea-green pool. She reaches her hand out to the side of the railing. Hey, Mika, doesn't the moon look? She cuts herself off, realizing that her friend isn't there to listen to her. With a sad frown, she looks into the water, her face distorted on its surface. She then looks over at the doll leaning on the mast. She looks around, as if to make sure Lucian wasn't watching, before she walks over, bending down. She starts to inspect him, before slowly looking up at Lucian. When she realized that he was too focused on what he was doing to listen, she continues to inspect the doll, observing its peculiar ensemble. Kalan, was it? The doll tilts over slightly, making her jolt. She then lets out a breath. It's okay. He can't move. We're good. She begins to straighten herself as if this were an important meeting, slowly smoothing out her noble air before sighing. You don't think your guy is a god or anything, right? Is he listening right now? Could he do something for me? After a long moment of silence, she sighs and gets frustrated with herself. This is stupid. Why do I want that? There's no way he'd make her be here. She gets up, yawning again and walking toward the entrance to the lower deck. She opens the door and walks down the stairs. She looks deep in thought as she does so, but Camelia suddenly stops, squinting. There was an oil lamp on the table, already lit. Slowly, she walks over, picking it up. That's weird. Camelia looks around in the half-darkness, confused. Nothing seemed to be touched, though. She could see a fresh scrape where a barrel was moved to the side. Suddenly, the boat lurched forward as it moved. There was a thud and a yelp as Michaela tumbled out from behind a barrel, an apple hitting her head. For a moment, Camelia is flabbergasted, having a delayed reaction. Michaela? Camelia jumps down, helping the maid up. The blonde groans, holding her head. Are you okay? You're not hurt, are you? Wait. Was he really listening? I didn't even tell you we were leaving. Were you, transported or something? What? No. You and Lucian weren't exactly subtle about it, so... But you weren't even awake this morning! Michaela struggles to answer. When Camelia realizes this isn't magic, shock passes over her face, then betrayal. Were you eavesdropping last night? You both ended up waking me up, so I overheard. You going along with us is not a good idea. You know that. I just had a feeling that... She looks down, then far into the dark corner of the room. And this feeling was important enough to leave my mom alone at home? You're the only one who can make those antidotes! I've been teaching Maeve how to make them. Trust me, I have it handled. Maeve? Besides, your mother would have wanted me to go, to protect you. You make rash decisions when— Don't tell me what my mom would have wanted! There's a sharp flash of light, then a quiet crack of thunder overhead. The two friends look at each other. Then Camellia jolts back as a flash comes from a porthole. Then a louder crack of thunder resounds. The lightning's flash overflowing the room. There's a slam, making the two of them run up the stairs to the top. Lucian is trying to brave the storm as his uncle asked him to, wrestling with the steering wheel as rainwater soaks his entire body. He looks over, seeing them come out of the lower deck.
Michaela?
What? It's a long story.
Well, whatever story it isn't important right now. Reef the sails. I'm going to move with the wind.
A bout of seawater splashes over the bow, just barely hitting Michaela. Camellia spins her out of the way, grabbing her by the waist.
Go! Before it gets worse!
Camellia and Michaela nod, each of them running up to the ropes. Michaela pulls one down, beginning to move to tie the sails back. Meanwhile, Camellia tries. She struggles to get it, but is surprised to find when the wind pushes it back into her hand. Thunder cracks overhead, lighting up the sky with jade green light. She quickly ties the sail, hopping down as more seawater hits the bow.
Hold on, this is going to get bumpy.
He moves through the wind, trying his best to move toward its trajectory. Camellia braces her hand against her face, the rain smacking down onto the boat.
It was so clear just a moment ago, wasn't it? Triadian rainstorms aren't like this. What do you think happened?
You tell me! You're the smart one! I'm a fucking nurse, not a prophet! After saying this, her eyes widen, seeing something overhead. Michaela? What's that? In front of them was a near titan-like hand, made out of ocean water and sand, splayed out towards the clouds. Green light shined in its palm, swirling around in a spear of energy. The mixture of sea and sand spun around itself before the hand turned toward the boat. Holy... Run! The two of them scramble back while Lucian tries to pull the boat away. But as quick as lightning, the hand crashes down on the boat. It cracks in half, groaning while the three fall underneath the sea, splashing inside. Camellia holds her breath as she submerges, shutting her eyes in the seawater. Finally, she opens them, frantically looking for Michaela and her brother as she held her breath still. Struggling against the current, she spots the two of them nearby. She tries to make her way towards them, but isn't able to fully make it. In the water, a voice echoes in her ear as her vision blurs. It's okay. Not time yet. With that sentiment, she finally passes out. Elsewhere, in a distant cabin, the moonlight shines in through the window, cascading on the face of a sleeping man. He rolls over, groaning in his sleep. His eyes slowly open, the gold in their center just barely glowing in the dark.
What time is it?
He slowly looks to the window, seeing the moon rising overhead.
Bloody... Of course it's night.
The man groans, stepping out of the bed with a wobble. He's wearing ratty Renaissance clothes, barely put on correctly, an amulet of obsidian dangling against his chest along with a silver key. It shines in the moonlight, but he quickly clutches it as he hobbles across the room. The room is small, rickety, a cabin made of wood with stone flooring. It's sparsely furnished, only having a hay-stuffed bed on the floor, and the other half of the room is covered in an art sheet. There's a painting leaning on a canvas on the other side of the room. The painting depicts a basket of apples.
Awful. Shouldn't have wasted the paint on this, you bastard.
The man grabs the art sheet off the floor, covering the canvas with a scoff. He then walks to the door to the hallway, but pauses, looking at himself in the mirror. He sees someone he does not recognize. A hollow shell of a man, with bright crimson hair and golden circlets on his eyes. Before he has the chance to say anything, the mirror cracks immediately, causing him to jump back. His eyes no longer glow. After a moment of silence, he looks up in the air, fearful.
What is going on?